There's two things that we're going to talk about today. Willingness, and are we asking the right questions? What are we willing to do? And what's what's the counter to these things that we think are going to happen this offseason for the Eagles? If we do one thing, what's the effect of it? So are we asking the right questions? We're going to talk a lot of Eagles and what the counter to a lot of these theories are. We're going to talk that Sixers suck, Phillies. Where's this Bryce Harper when we need him? Trending in the AM, we are live, taking your thoughts and opinions in 30 seconds. And a very good morning, everybody. Welcome one, welcome all. Trending in the AM right here on the STT Sports Network. We are live, as we are every single morning at 8 a.m. Please, whether you're watching live now or on replay, hit the like button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button, wherever they are on your screen, your tablet, your computer, whatever. Please hit those buttons. It is free to support your local content creator with clicks. It doesn't cost a thing. So please do it. I'd greatly appreciate it. Guys, I'm Phil Stiefel. We got a jam-packed show today. Already got a half a dozen comments in the chat lined up, ready to rock and roll. And we're talking two things today. One, willingness. Are the Eagles going to be willing to learn and do the work that is necessary in this new Sean Mannion session or offense? Are they willing to do that? And the second part comes from yesterday when someone said everybody is talking about with the Phillies what could go right or wrong instead of what could go right. So it made me think, are we asking the wrong questions? Are we angling our conversation wrong? And I think we may be, looking at things the wrong way. So we've got to ask the right questions, whether it's A.J. Brown, whether it's the Sixers, whether it's the offensive line, Jalen Hurts, whatever it is, we've got to ask the right questions. So we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about the Sixers. Another utter disaster last night with the Spurs, as expected. No surprise there. And the Phillies, whatever with the Phillies. But you see Bryce Harper tearing the cover off the ball for Team USA. It makes you get a little excited for the season, but it also makes you very jealous, right? Makes you very jealous to know that, where is that? When we need it. So let's get right to the comments. We're going to hold no punches. I'm going to answer every one of them today here. Whomever lied in the chat that said Rojas was busted for weed should be banned, that was just a rumor and a joke. Obviously, he did test positive for something per reports, and his suspension has been made. So it seems like it's a PED, not weed. What's up, Steve? How you doing? I hate that I keep hearing Kobe Dean is going to end up in Dallas. I don't hate it, okay? You got to ask yourself the right question. Is that going to make Dallas that much better? Is he going to stay healthy enough to make Dallas that much better? Do the Eagles need to spend to keep Kobe Dean when they have Zach Bond and Jahad Campbell and they're tight? We shouldn't get upset about Nakobe Dean leaving for Dallas if you understand who Nakobe Dean is at this point in his career. What's up, little G? Yes, let's keep A.J. Brown. Because the question shouldn't be, what can we get for A.J. Brown in a trade? The question should be, what happens to the Eagles offense once you trade A.J. Brown? That should be the real question. Dean and Blankenship seem to be headed to Dallas, at least by the rumors. Yeah, and look, it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense for Christian Parker to grab two guys that are free agents, one or two of them, to help the transition of the Dallas defense. It makes way too much sense. Two cheap options, two solid players, but two players that It's not going to be the end-all, be-all when it comes to the Eagles season. Goddard looks like he's leaving. And here's another one of those let's ask the right questions, right? Why is Dallas Goedert so likely to leave? The rumors yesterday were David Njoku, the Browns' near 30-year-old tight end, is one of the Eagles' top targets. It's going to cost you $10 or $12 million a year to get Njoku here, maybe on a one-year deal, right? And you draft somebody. Why wouldn't they keep Dallas Goedert when it's going to cost you the same amount of money and it's going to save you in the salary cap department? We're asking the wrong questions. Who should replace Dallas Goedert? The question should be, why aren't we keeping Dallas Goedert? Right? That should be the question. I don't like the idea of him leaving when you take a snapshot of the entire situation. Phillips isn't likely to stay either. Yeah, I mean, and here's the thing. Here again, Trey Hendrickson's a free agent now. The Bengals aren't franchise tagging him, right? They're not tendering him or anything. So he could go anywhere he wants, right? Why would they let Phillips go? Why do Eagles fans want to let Phillips go for whatever he's going to make, $20 million a year, $25 million a year? But they're so gung-ho on paying $35 million a year to Trey Hendrickson or Max Crosby. Now, I know those two guys might be a little bit better than Jaelan Phillips, but age, injury, everything all included, that should be the question. The pivots off of certain guys need to be the question. AJ seems to be staying. Yes, and I get that, and I understand that. It's possible. Where's the proof of this shit? Proof of what shit? What? I'm not sure what you're talking about there. Are you talking the Rojas? I mean, the MLB officially announced his suspension. He is challenging it or appealing it, but yeah, it's reading tea leaves for this one. We're reading tea leaves for a lot of stuff. Good morning, Robert. How you doing? Sounds more like coffee guys. What on the Rojas stuff? Caffeine transport mode aside, rumors. Yeah. Political show. What? I'm not sure what you're talking about there. You know we don't do politics. Is Goddard going to take a $12 million deal? Well, I'm sure someone is going to offer him. He is not going to get $15 to $20 million a year. Zero chance done. He might get a $25 million 2-year deal, but he's not getting 15. He's not getting 2 for 30 or 2 for 40. There's no way. His age, his injury history, he's at about a $12 million valuation in my mind. The only thing is, some of these other names we're linked to might be 1-year deals. Then you turn the reins over to your rookie, whoever you draft. But in theory, you save money by retaining Dallas Goedert. Phillips is probably a comp pick. So is Moro Jomo in next offseason, K1. And I get that. And I know Howie Roseman plays the comp game a lot. And he talked about that at the Combine. He compared the Jaelan Phillips trade to the Golden Tate trade a few years back. Well, more than a few years back now. And how you'll take that anytime as long as you get the comp pick in return. You'll take those chances on those trades. And I get that. But without Jaelan Phillips, last year we went into the season with Jalen Hunt, Nolan Smith, Josh Uche, and Azeez Ojulari. And it wasn't enough. You had to trade for Jaelan Phillips, right? To kind of solidify that group. You had to bring Brandon Graham back out of retirement to solidify that group. Now, Graham, we don't know what's going on. Phillips, you lose. You're back to Jalen Hunt, Nolan Smith, and 2 cheap guys in similar to Uche and Ojulari, which I think one of those might actually come back this upcoming year. That won't be enough. So why wouldn't you want to retain Phillips at $20 million, $22 million versus trading a first-round pick and giving $35 million to Max Crosby? I think the right question is, why wouldn't you want to do that? Phillips. Even the process Sixers wait until the fourth quarter to be down by 49. The East is wide open. Look, I got 2 Sixers questions for you today. All right? Obviously. Poll question of the day. Is this finally the offseason that Daryl Morey and Nick Nurse get fired? Option A, absolutely. Early on, it's at 33%. Nope, Josh Harris sucks, 25%. And option C is they could save their jobs with a run, 42%. Anybody vote for that, and that's got the leading vote right now. Thinks they actually could make a run. It's crazy. Hopefully Kenyon Sadiq makes it to the Eagles in the draft. Rick, look, the talent is there, right? He's the best draft or tight end in this draft. No question asked. I don't doubt that at all. But two things. One, I do not think Howie Roseman will ever use a first-round pick on a tight end. It's just not his MO. It's just not his philosophy or style. And how many first-round tight ends really work out? You know, you look at one of the top free agents that's now franchise tagged by the Falcons. He was a first-round tight end, Kyle Pitts. He hasn't really earned that first-round badge, right? Yeah, bad situation. I get that. B, I don't think Kenyon Sadiq falls. Now, I think there's a world where Howie Roseman maybe makes a trade up in the draft, but I don't think he'll trade up high enough to get Sadiq. So I am not setting my expectations on him. I'm not doing the deep dive on his skill sets or fit here in Philly. I'm not worried about Sadiq one bit because I don't think there's a chance he comes here. Phil, you're dropping frames. It ain't bad, but your show is not perfect. What? Dropping frames? I don't understand what that means. I don't understand what frames. But no show is perfect. No show is perfect. I don't get paid to do this. This is for fun. But I'm always open to criticism. Howie loves his comp picks. He does love his comp picks, and I get that. The Pats were comp pick addicts. Yeah, and that's kind of who we've modeled ourselves at. Ertz possibly back with the Eagles on a 1 or 2 year lower deal. So, look, I know a lot of Eagles fans are enamored with the idea of Zach Ertz being back here. And I get that, right? And I'm okay with that, Rick. But it depends on the situation. First and foremost, you got to draft a guy, right? You can't bring back Zach Ertz as your number one guy to groom your rookie, right? It can't be Zach Ertz and whoever they pick in the second or third round. If you've got Dallas Goedert, a draft pick in Zach Ertz, sure. If you got T.J. Hockenson, a draft pick in Zach Ertz, that's fine. If you've got David Njoku, a draft pick in Zach Ertz, that's fine. But Zach Ertz is only on my card if he's the third tight end on this team. You don't even know if he'll be ready for week 1. I know I've seen the workout videos like you have. I don't think he'll be ready week 1 for sure. Kittle got 19 million. McBride got 19. You don't think someone is not going to offer the tight end with the most touchdowns 15 million? Yeah, I don't think so. Kittle's a level above Dallas Goedert. McBride was younger than Dallas Goedert. Mark Andrews got like $45 million, way a step above Dallas Goedert. I know he had all those touchdowns last year. I do not think he's going to get $15 million. He's going to want a 2 or 3 year deal, and no team will give him 2 years, $15 million per hour. No chance. I think you're looking at a 2 year, $25, maybe $26 million deal max. Sixers aren't going anywhere, Robert. No, they are not. Pitts is getting 15.1 on his tag. Yeah, and that's too much for Kyle Pitts, right? Way too much money. My first source of news, I've heard any news yet. Yeah, we don't do news here. Your frames be okay. Yeah, exactly. I figured that's what you meant. But I'm watching myself. I always keep, for this purpose, I keep my eye on my side screen. I run us on the side screen just to make sure there's no problems. And I don't got no buffering over here. You might want to check your internet connection on that one. I think we are at the part of the game where looking at Howie's MO may not be the wiser thing to do. You know, I don't hate that. I dabbled with this topic yesterday on the show, that what Howie says and what Howie's done isn't necessarily what he is going to do this offseason. Howie Roseman has, in the past, shocked us by going completely against his philosophies. So I don't want to say Sadiq is 100% out in the first round for the Eagles. But it just doesn't seem likely, right? Plus, in my mind, that first-round pick has to be Lane Johnson's replacement, whether we need him this year or 3 years from now. You got to start planning for that future. So, to me, maybe I'm a little biased on this don't expect Sadiq thing. I'm so gung-ho on the what and the need at offensive line. Hurts is not coming back. I mean, I wouldn't rule it out. It's not likely, Robert, and it's not likely a smart decision anyway. But I don't want to rule it completely out. Good morning, Beslick. How you doing today? Hope you're well today. Going O-line or edge? Absolutely. O-line, pick 1. O-line, pick 3. Edge, tight end, pick 2. You've got 4 positions: O-line, edge, tight end. O-line, edge, tight end. Those 3 positions are going to be your first 4 picks. 2 offensive linemen, 1 tight end, 1 edge. It's just going to happen. It's got to happen, right? There's no doubt. Last night was the 5th time the Sixers had one of these games. This unfortunately points to something no one will want to talk about. Which part of it? That Joel Embiid, you can't win without him still. That Tyrese Maxey can't carry the team without Joel Embiid. That Nick Nurse is a shitty coach. That Daryl Morey sucks as a GM. Josh Harris is a shit for an owner. I mean, what point do you want to talk about what last night's game shows? I mean, what sports news do you want to discuss, Bonehead? That Kyler Murray's now available? That you got Bahami Jones out there spouting that he would take Kyler Murray over Jalen Hurts to get clicks? You ain't going to hear that kind of nonsense clicks on this show. Can we talk about how nonsense that is? The amount of people that are still in love with Kyler Murray, that still think Kyler Murray is this elite, or not elite, but really good quarterback. It blows my mind, the amount of hate that Jalen Hurts gets, but Kyler Murray gets propped up. Kyler Murray's done jack shit. Kyler Murray's 28, 29 years old already. It's laughable. It drives me nuts. It really does. Offensive tackle, more than likely our first-round pick this year, but Sadiq reminds me of a modern-day Keith Jackson, but tight end in round 1 is highly unlikely. It's just a personal philosophy too, Rick. Like, I don't remember too many times in my lifetime seeing a first-round tight end become what you expect. You expect first-rounders, weapon-wise, to be elite. How many first-round tight ends really become elite in recent memory? Yeah, I think it's Johnson's things. Yeah, I got nothing wrong here. Phil, my deal is I give things straight. Y'all Eagles face be overrating some mid-ass players, dead ass. Look, everybody overrates their players, and I'm asking the right questions. I'm telling us not to overrate certain players, right? Goddard is going to get offered at least 2 years, $28 to $30 million from someone, because any contract after that will be at $10 million like he has now. It's not about the dollars per year; it's the amount of years. Time will tell on this one, Duck. I think 2 years, 25 is pretty solid for Dallas Goedert. 12 guaranteed, something like that. And now, even if it's 2 years, 28, I might take that over 1 year Njoku, because that 2 year, 28 probably frees up $10 million in cap space this year. I never know what he's saying. It takes a lot of work to translate what he says. That's why I never read his comments out loud first. I read them, translate them, and then read them out loud. You watch. The Eagles will have more losses this coming season with a much easier schedule. Then fans are going to blame the wrong people again. Nah. I mean, I don't know what the Eagles' win-loss record's going to be yet this year. But you can't think this team is going to regress any more than it did. This Eagles team will be as good as last year, if not better. You've got one of the best coaches in football, one of the best quarterbacks in football. You got one of the best defenses in football. You've got elite talent all over the place. You just don't like Jalen Hurts. Sixers have some bugaboo. Yeah, they have some bugaboos, Jaelan. That's right. I forgot about the bugaboos. Have we identified exactly what a bugaboo yet is, K1? Because I'm not sure what the bugaboo is. Murray is getting released. That was announced yesterday officially. Kyler Murray is now gone and out in Arizona. Look, you got people out there hyping him up that he's going to turn any franchise he goes to around. People have a rude awakening when they realize that Kyler Murray is not turning into the next Sam Darnold. Kyler Murray is just not going to come to your city and win you a Super Bowl. Without a health report, I just can't begin to project what this team is doing in the draft. You mean, okay, I think that's part of the topic. Are we asking the right questions? Right? You and Duck, yes, not you, Duck, you and Elephant in the Room are really what made me come up with the jumping off point today. Is the offensive line going to be healthy? Was it a fixable issue that the offense health-wise had last year? Or is it just going to be more of the same, right? Is Jalen Carter, his shoulders, are they degenerative or is it fixed? And those things point to what the draft and free agency is going to bring. That should be the question, right? It's not, well, what do we need? Who do we have that's going to be healthy? And then we find out what we need, right? Phil, is on this entire flat earth, there's only 4 or 5 game-changing edges. Phillips ain't him. He's one of 22nd, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with what you say, but what I'm saying is that why would you be willing to spend all that you got to spend to get one of those 4 top ones? Myles Garrett, Trey Hendrickson, Max Crosby. When you got Phillips here, and you can retain him cheaper, right? And the Eagles are up against it financially speaking, so they've got to get creative. They're not going to keep Phillips, most likely, the Eagles, and they're not going to most likely get any of the big-name guys either. Kyle Pitts, what has he done elite, right? Has he really been a game changer? Elite to me is game changer. I forget how many wins in the playoffs Kyle Pitts has, helped have a major factor in for the Atlanta Falcons. When has he just dominated and destroyed week in and week out? I don't know if he's going to get paid as much as you people think he is. You people. That's right. I said you people. I think the market for Dallas Goedert is going to be a little lower than people realize. Got to remember something. He was a free agent last year. He was told to test the waters last year. Now, I know he had huge touchdown numbers this year, right? But last offseason, he was like, go test the waters. And he came back, hat in hand, and said, look, I'd rather come back here on a 1-year deal because my value isn't what I think it is. Just saying. And even if it does get paid big, what would you rather, Dallas Goedert, who you know what you're getting, or a guy in David Njoku, who everybody's hyping and wants on the Eagles, who gets injured more than Dallas Goedert? Pitts don't produce. Maybe with Hurts he would. 2 good tight end. Hurts would be a Terminator. Yeah, look, it's not Kyle Pitts' fault that he's had a shit organization and shit quarterbacks his entire career. But he hasn't done anything yet. Oh, that was sarcasm for you, by the way? Okay, gotcha on Kyle Pitts. Everybody thinks Kyle Pitts is like on this Rob Gronkowski, Travis Kelce, Tony Gonzalez level. Like, in a vacuum, not worrying about age or contracts. Who's the better tight end? Kyle Pitts or Dallas Goedert? Let's ask the right questions. Who's a better tight end? Okay? I would probably, if money wasn't involved, I would take Dallas Goedert over Kyle Pitts. Okay? I would. No doubt about it. Saw that I messed what? Mannion runs a lot of 2 tight end sets. I don't know. Green Bay did. Well, will Sean Mannion's offense mirror what Green Bay ran last year? Maybe. But we don't know that for sure. Until we see week 1 what the offense looks like, we're not going to know. We've been in this situation before, Rick. This is now our, 4th year in a row with a new offensive game plan being installed. So we don't know what he's going to do till he does it, right? So we think it is. We're not sure. That's why you need Dallas Goedert back. And you need to draft somebody in the 2nd or 3rd round, right? And then go get a Zach Ertz to be your 3rd. McKee and Murray are asked who is better. Look, I said this yesterday, whether it's in regards to Tanner McKee, whether it's in regards to Kyler Murray, Anthony Richardson, Justin Fields, anybody, any quarterback out there, right, that's available right now. It's the perfect offseason to be available either in a trade or free agent because the draft sucks and there's a dozen teams that need a quarterback. And you're going to have a lot of moving parts. Malik Willis, people are going to get paid based off of a lot of maybes, okay? A lot of reaches this offseason. If I'm a team that needs a quarterback, if I don't have playoff potential next year, if quarterback's not the thing holding me back, I'm punting on this season. I'm getting a holdover. I'm getting a Jimmy Garoppolo guy. And just not tanking, but tanking. So I'm not spending big on any of these guys. Right? But it is the perfect offseason to be a quarterback looking for a starting job somewhere. Kyler Murray equals Doug Flutie. Maybe in size, but that's it. Some of the Hurts hate comes from the fact he's paid $6 million more than Mahomes at the time of their Super Bowl wins, 45. I don't think money has anything to do with the Hurts hate. Not at all. Not at all. Good for the Hornets. The Hornets are better. I've got a second Sixers question running on Twitter, not on YouTube. So the YouTube poll question is Daryl Morey and Nick Nurse getting fired finally, right? On Twitter, I've got, is there a current NBA team that's in the playoff situation right now that the Sixers are 100% better than? The Charlotte Hornets being one of those teams? No. There's not one team that's going to make the playoffs that the Sixers are 100% without a shadow of a doubt better than. Not besmirching Flutie. Not at all. Stroud and Murray are twin brothers, are they? I would take Stroud over Murray. To me, Kyler Murray might be the most overrated, highly paid quarterback in the NFL. And we're talking about the guys making 30, 40, 50, $60 million a year. Kyler Murray's the worst of the worst. Okay? You can name any high-priced quarterback not on a rookie deal or not on a quarterback 2 contract. Name any of them. And I probably would take them over Kyler Murray. Hell, I would even take Dak Prescott over Kyler Murray. Why do people think people who failed are going to be different somewhere else? Murray had to put film watching in his contract. Darnold doesn't happen often. That's why his story is interesting. Exactly. A big L. Kyler Murray is one of the laziest, most uninterested in football quarterbacks. Like, he doesn't even care. He played football to get paid. He got paid, and he don't care. Kyler Murray is the Mike McDaniels of quarterbacks. That might be true. I don't want to lose AJ, but get me Cornell Tate or Zachariah Branch from Georgia. Look, what they do with AJ Brown directly, will tell you what they do in the draft at wide receiver, what they're going to do in free agency at wide receiver. Again, though, we keep asking the question, will they trade AJ Brown or not? But the question should be, what happens to the Eagles offense if they do trade AJ Brown? What happens to Devontae Smith if they trade A.J. Brown? What happens to Saquon Barkley if they trade A.J. Brown? What happens to Jalen Hurts? Does Jalen Hurts get the pass? Finally, from people. Oh, well, Jalen Hurts only succeeds because he's got A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. Well, if he succeeds now, what will the narrative be? Well, he only succeeds because of something else? Like, I'm curious. But what happens when you lose A.J. Brown? You're not getting another A.J. Brown. You people. I'm talking about you, right there. If we move to side, and I get that, EC. I think he came back because of pride and thinking a second ring. Dallas Goedert? I don't know. Zach Ertz's potential return, no thank you. Eagles fans want him back. Why? And that's what I said. Look, EC1, I have no problem with Eagles fans wanting Zach Ertz back. I have no problem with him coming back. But not as our tight end 1 or our transition tight end for the rookie. You can bring Zach Ertz back if you want to be your third string tight end. Your third guy. If you bring in Dallas Goedert or TJ Hawkinson, you draft someone in the second or third round, and then You bring in Zach Ertz for depth and veteran leadership, fine. But that's it. I'm not starting Zach Ertz or playing him significant snaps in 2026. If Goddard was on Atlanta and Pitts was in Philly, would it be different? What would be different? Should be the question. Goddard would have a very similar career to Pitts. I'm not sure Pitts would be any better in Philly than he was in Atlanta. I'm not sure. In fact, maybe think if we would have drafted Pitts, that was, I forget what year that was. Do we have A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith? Do we have Saquon Barkley? Do we have a Super Bowl? I don't know. Let's be real on Dallas Goedert's touchdowns. How many of those 11 touchdowns had a high level of difficulty? A lot of that was KP's one major strength, red zone play calling, good tight end, but it is a supply versus demand. I think that's very fair. He had a bunch of wide open, touchdowns. He had a lot of creative touchdowns, little shovel pass type touchdowns. Kevin Patullo's one major strength, you're right, was red zone play calling. Ertz would be a good second tight end here, better than Cal. Well, I'm finally glad we're moving on from Calcaterra. That's a good thing, right? But I don't know if Zach Ertz is capable of being a tight end. I shouldn't say I don't think he's capable. He's capable if he gets healthy. I don't think you can bank on him being back to even last year's level. At his age with that injury, I think he's at best a tight end 3 that when injuries happen, slides into tight end 2. Tight end 2, that means you're drafting somebody, is going to be your number 1, and then Zach Ertz. I don't think that's enough, Rick. I don't. Phil, people trying to get Bears back up. Yeah, I saw that too. The Eagles aren't in on that, so I didn't really stay up on that. Ertz injury prone, coming off knee replacement at 30. Exactly. Is he only 31? Is Zach Ertz really only 31 years old? Only 1 year? I thought Zach Ertz was much older than that. That means he's only 1 year older than Dallas Goedert? That doesn't sound right to me. All you people on here are betting on the cripples Lane Ertz coming back. We're not betting on Ertz, okay? That's a nostalgic thing. But we have discussed Lane Johnson, Cam Jurgens, and Landon Dickerson, right? The question should be, as I said a little bit ago, will they be healthy? Will they be able to be healthy? Were their injuries career-threatening or just one-offs? Are they in the decline? Because all that matters. I have mock draft Max Clare to the Eagles at least 70% of the time I've run. I only post 1 or 2 mock drafts so far, but I've ran simulations just to learn names they're going to be available when the Eagles pick. And Max Clare makes a lot of sense for his write-up in round 3. A lot of sense, K1. So that's somebody the Eagles definitely could target. Goddard was promised more tight ends by the Eagles to bring up his value. That means he's gone. I don't know about that. Is Sweeney so hot she had to break the internet? What am I missing? I don't know. 15 likes. Guys, if you haven't yet, there's 18 people watching right now in the YouTube room, plus Twitter and Twitch. Hit the like button, subscribe, share. Please, would greatly appreciate it. Ertz still in the league, so wrecked, yeah. Jamarcus Russell didn't watch tape. And look what happened to him. That might be the worst first-round quarterback of all time. Kyler Murray is the Ben Simmons. That's a fantastic comparison right there. He is. Kyler Murray is Ben Simmons. I'm trying to think of who had more success, and I think it's equal. At least Ben Simmons was in the playoffs. I don't think Kyler Murray even got to the playoffs ever. Vince Young got kicked off Bills because, like Billy Joe Hobart, he didn't read playbook. You got to put in the effort, right? What's up, Bruce? Good morning to you. Hope you are well this fine morning. Eagles going to get better. Absolutely agree. Yeah, you never know what kind of references you're going to get. The only way they trade A.J. Brown is if Dickerson and Jurgens are damaged beyond acceptable repair. Howie drove up the price to silence the BS. Look, whether he drove up the asking price to silence the BS or not, you have to drive up the price, right? You can't settle when talking about trading A.J. Brown. You can't settle because the question is what happens next? And your offense takes a step back without A.J. Brown. So you better get a first and a second pick that's in the top 100, which the rumors are he wants a first-round pick and another pick in the second or third round. You better get that. Otherwise, what's the point? I watched like 10 minutes of it. I knew it was going to be a disaster. I saw it was a disaster. I turned that disaster off. And that's why the Sixers are in real trouble. And I'm asking two Sixers questions, Bruce. Are Daryl Morey and Nick Nurse finally getting fired this year? Has Josh Harris even got a pulse? And I'm asking, is there a playoff team currently in the standings in the playoffs, Eastern or Western Conference, that the Sixers are better than? I can argue there's teams that not in the playoffs better than the Sixers at this point. I don't trust the Sixers any given day, especially without Joel Embiid on the court. And you can hear the frustration. You saw Joel Embiid say, look, let's not duck the tax. The Sixers duck the tax. You got Tyrese Maxey now making comments of frustrations, missing Jarrett McCain, who dropped another 20 last night for the Oklahoma City Thunder without SGA out there. The Sixers team is growing frustrated just as much as the fan base is growing frustrated. You're going to see some heads roll after the season. Because then AJ becomes the luxury you can't justify keeping. Absolutely agree. If your trenches aren't right, you don't need weapons, right? We didn't have AJ Brown this season. Newsflash, AJ is diminished. Look, there is the narrative, Keith. What is it that no wide receiver ever succeeds in contract year in their third contract? Their rookie deal, then they sign the big second contract by contract 3, which was the A.J. Brown extension that he got, last offseason or whatever. That's contract 3. He's 28, going to be 29 years old, A.J. Brown? You might be right. He might be a little diminished. Nooms always talked about him bulking up, that holding him back. Maybe. He's still a top 10 wide receiver in football, and if you lose him, it creates a huge hole on our offense. They are not going to pay what Ertz will want to be on the Eagles. Zach Ertz, I don't think is going to want much anywhere. You're looking at a 1-year, $3 or $4 million contract for Zach Ertz. Like a closer on a bad team. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Remember, all those years in the mid-'90s or early '90s, all the years around '93. Jose Mesas of the world, closing out games for the Phillies. Yeah. What was the point? Pitts is going nowhere. Atlanta tagged him. Yeah, exactly. But we're talking comparisons here more so. Yeah, Ertz can't block anymore. Jimmy Garoppolo to the Rams. Don't tell me Tanner McKee has no value. Yeah, it's true. Tanner McKee has a lot of value, though. That's the thing. Yeah, Ertz can't run anymore. Ertz can't do much of anything. Yeah, I thought Ertz was like 35, 36, 37 years old. There's no way Zach Ertz is only 31 years old. As EC1 said, Tanner McKee will have value to some team who need the quarterback before getting into a better quarterback draft class. Yeah, I agree. And I've been talking about it nonstop. Perfect offseason for Tanner McKee. No, it's the perfect offseason for someone like Kyler Murray or Malik Willis. If Tua gets released like they say he might in the next day or two, perfect offseason for him. It's a perfect offseason for big ego quarterbacks and young quarterbacks. It is. Ertz came out the same year as Lane. Yeah, I actually thought he was here before Lane, to be honest with you. Like, I knew that was wrong. I feel Andrew Painter dominated against the Yankees. Yeah, look, Andrew Painter looked great. It wasn't Monday, was it? Was it Monday? I thought it was like Saturday. I'm way off on my days. But yeah, he looked great. And it's a fantastic thing to see. And here, he could be a big, big positive boost to the morale of this team and the morale of the fan base if he pitches well this year. Curveball was 80 and his fastball looked great. His curveball looked great. He had speed. Yeah, look, I was very excited with what I saw. I don't want Ertz back until he goes into the Eagles Hall of Fame. That's fine. They will definitely bring in a kicker to push Elliott as a natural aspect of getting older. Yeah, look, Jake Elliott's not going anywhere because of his contract, right? That's the unfortunate thing about a salary cap situation they're in. They can't eat everybody's dead cap number. And cutting Jake Elliott would be a problem. But yeah, pushing him, bringing someone in, making him think there's a chance he could get cut, maybe that helps him for sure. It wasn't too long ago that we were talking about, is Jake Elliott the greatest kicker in Eagles history? Has he supplanted David Akers? Now we're ready to write him off after a bad year and a half. You have to be a masochist or a fan of shitty hoops. Exactly. It was turn it on as I'm getting ready for bed. Honestly, when I went to bed a little earlier last night than normal. I got in bed, I turned the TV on, and YouTube TV, it pops up with things you might want to click before the guide, and the Sixers were on. I'm like, oh shit, I forgot the Sixers were even on. It was past halftime at that point already. Another sunrise. What's up, Jonathan? How you doing? Good morning to you. It's always great to see the sunrise. Daryl Morey and Nick Nurse, I could see being fired this offseason. They need to be. Eagles round picks will be tight end, edge, corner 2. They are not drafting a cornerback 2 in the first round. And I know a lot of people are doing it and mocking it. It's not happening. It's offensive lineman or edge, and that's it in the first round. They're the only 2 positions you're going to see Howie draft in round 1. Cornerback 2 will be addressed with re-signing Adoree Jackson or drafting someone in round 3 or 4 to compete with the other young guys on this team. But that's it. I think you're going to be shocked that cornerback 2 is going to be Adoree Jackson. There, I'm saying it right now. Cornerback 2 can be Adoree Jackson next year again, and I am perfectly okay with it. I am not wasting high-end draft capital when you've got $60 million in the coming years going to Quinion Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, maybe more than that. You're not drafting another high-end guy that's going to get paid. You're going to patchwork the third cornerback for the next 5 to 10 years. AJ is a cautionary tale of what happens when a wide receiver puts on tight end beef. He really needs to focus. Yeah, and I'm buying into your theory there, and I am. Yeah, Jake needs the competition, but his contract might be too high. His contract is too high to walk away from. Absolutely. I feel Daryl and Nick may not get fired during the season. They're not going to get fired during the season, but after the season ends in disappointment, which it will end in disappointment, they will be gone. They have to be gone, right? Zachary, if they just fire Nick Nurse and keep Daryl Morey around, I'm going to cry. Eagles would need 2007 Giants Jerry Reese draft to truly stay major contenders. I have to look at which year that was, what draft that was. I'm so excited for the Phillies season to start, even if we don't expect them to be good. Look, anytime baseball starts, no matter how little expectations or how bad your team is, the start of the baseball season is always a great time. I mean, spring is here. Baseball, spring, new beginnings, all at the same time, Easter. Like, it's a great time of the year, right? The Masters, right around then. So, yes, I get that. I mean, I don't have high expectations, but I still will get excited for opening day. AJ had very limited training camp hamstring, then was a non-factor starting game 1. I've been watching him. His frustration should be that he can't create leverage against good DBs anymore. Look, I think all the things you said there are perfectly accurate. Jimmy G is a ton better than Tanner. No. Well, maybe overall career-wise, but Tanner's the younger guy. Jimmy Garoppolo has more gray hairs than Phil. I don't know, man. I was looking in the mirror the other day. This beard, the back part of the beard, a lot of gray hair. A lot of gray hair. AJ lacks flexibility, but his speed is the same. Same people that want Sirianni out are the same people that want Elliott out. They can't balance out the situation. Look, anybody that wants Sirianni out, anybody that wants Jalen Hurts out, just are clueless. Okay? There, I said it. All right? Clueless. There's no reason to move on from either of those guys, Sirianni or Hurts. Elliott, look, Elliott's been bad. If Elliott wasn't on such a high paid, I think he's the second highest paid kicker in football, third highest paid kicker in football. If he didn't have that big contract, he probably would have competition for his job this upcoming year. Yeah, look, A.J. Brown is still, in my opinion, look, 2 years ago, we were talking, is A.J. Brown one of the 3 best wide receivers in football? Does he belong in the class of Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase and Devontae Adams? Does he belong in that group, right? Now we're talking he's in the top 10. He's at the back end of the top 10. He's still an elite wide receiver. He just might not be a top 5 receiver anymore. Would anyone really take a hard look at Murray or Tua for first-round money? Murray, because of his rep in the league and Tua's concussion issues, are serious concerns. Look, I think Kyler Murray, someone will fall for it. I think someone will give Kyler Murray, I don't want to say a huge deal, but something like the Sam Darnold or Geno Smith deals the last couple of years, 3 years, $100 million, but an easy out after year 1 or 2, a non-expensive out after year 1 or 2. Tua, on the other hand, I think Tua is going to have a harder time getting paid big money. AJ equals DK Metcalf. Got to move on from him. But again, the question isn't, do we got to or will we? It's what happens when you do. What happens to your offense? What happens to Devontae Smith, Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts if you do move on from him? You don't get better. Yes, I have. Plenty of times. Why are we even asking? I don't have a pizza shop. Yesterday actually would have been the 18th anniversary of the opening of my pizza shop. It's crazy to think that 18 years ago yesterday, I was on day 1. And now I'm on like month 4 of unemployment. I think the Phillies can at least win the East. They could. A lot of things have to go right. I've been a major Jake Elliott defender, but everyone needs a kick in the ass. Absolutely. Absolutely agree. I wanted Nick Nurse and Daryl Morey. I was so wrong about those guys. I was okay. Nick Nurse, I don't remember who was my top choice, but I was okay with Nick Nurse, right? I did not want Daryl Morey. I got bashed day 1 of the Daryl Morey era when I said on Twitter, on Trending in the AM or whatever show I was doing at the time, I got bashed nonstop because I said Daryl Morey stinks and Daryl Morey wasn't going to do jack shit here. Got bashed so bad for that. And yet here we are. You see what I said, right? He has. He also had his worst season of his career last year. Okay? Plain and simple. I still have enough confidence in Jake Elliott going forward to figure it out. He's talented enough to figure it out. Kickers go through stretches. He's made enough big game kicks that I'm willing to let him work it out. Cutting Jake would be a $7 million cap hit. Yeah, exactly. There's a better kicker in camp. It's money well spent. Jake is already in decline, and it will only get worse. I mean, you got $13.5 million in cap space. Cutting Michael Carter gets you to like 21. Renegotiating Jordan Davis's contract gets you to about 30 in cap space. You keep Dallas Goedert, that might get you up to 40. All right, now you might have room to cut to Jake Elliott. Maybe. Tua is better than Tua Tags. You're not wrong there at all. Where'd she ever go? Whatever happened to her? I know she got in some kind of scam with some online thing. Whatever happened to her since then? AJ's on the back end of 10 because he's took too many plays off. He will come back with a better attitude and worked with a Pilates instructor to get his range back. Maybe. Couldn't Sadiq be Howie Roseman's target now? Goddard gone. I just don't think it. There's again, I talked about it earlier, EC1. Part 1, I don't think Howie believes in tight ends in the first round. I don't even know when the last time the Eagles took a tight end in the first round, ever. He knows the importance of getting an elite lineman in that first round or edge. And honestly, Sadiq isn't, like, there's a chance the Eagles might trade up a little bit in the first round, but I don't think Howie Roseman would trade up to get a tight end. And that's the only way you're going to get him. He'll be gone in the first 15 or 16 picks in the draft, Kenyon Sadiq. So, yeah, I just don't see it. There are plenty of wide receivers who could replace AJ's production. See, on a strictly statistical level and last year's production, sure, maybe. But A.J. Brown opens up running lanes for Saquon normally. He frees up Devontae Smith to see less double team. If you go get the rumor from Matthew Berry the other day was if we trade A.J. Brown, the Eagles are going to bring in Mike Evans. Is Mike Evans going to make the overall impact on the field that A.J. Brown does? I don't think so. right? Plus, you're taking on that dead cap hit, which means you're going to be able to improve the rest of the team even less, right? I don't think AJ's production, statistically speaking, is the only aspect of it. Did your black employees take long breaks and smoke? They used to like to vape in the bathroom. It always annoyed me. Missy Elliott got cut. He did not get cut, Marshawn, unless it happened in the last 10 minutes. AJ haters say stupid stuff, I swear. Yeah, look, I get it. I understand why people hate on AJ Brown. They don't like the personality. They don't like the attitude, right? They complain about Jalen Hurts' attitude being too passive, but they want everyone else to be like that too. I get it, though. He does frustrate me. But I also understand he's a top 10 wide receiver. Howie is not going after tight in the first round unless they fall to us, but Howie's more likely to move up for an offense. To absolutely agree with you, Doug. No doubt that. The catch radius for A.J. Brown is so decimated. Easy on the last, my man. The lats. Gotcha. I was like, that was one misspell that I didn't get, so I needed the lats there. Gotcha. Easy on the lats, yeah. We're talking, we're trying to ask the right questions, Marshawn, instead of cutting this guy or cutting that guy or making this deal over that deal. What's the questions that should be asked about those guys? Okay, and Howie wasn't taking Devontae. It's true. It's fair. But Howie has a reputation for wide receivers in the first round. I think Keith Jackson was the first. In my opinion, he was probably the last one that was taken in the first round. Smith after drafting Rager. That's different, but that was 2 years in a row he drafted wide receivers. And that's fine. Tight ends are a different thing, different situation. Is the Hawk Tua girl married? Asking for red. She is not, from my knowledge. She wasn't last time I saw her. She got in a lot of trouble for some kind of meme coin thing. She disappeared. I heard rumors she might be starting an OnlyFans page now. I don't know. A.J. Brown won the Eagles one game this year, week 2 against the Rams. A.J. has been amazing, but this year he was hard. Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with any of that, Marshawn, right? Nothing wrong with that, right? But it doesn't mean I want to move on from him. I guess you know Howie Roseman. So I'm not allowed to have an opinion based off of what's in front of me? Your opinion is right, mine is not. Is that what you're saying? Did the Sixers have a chance to grab Sadiq Bey for their bench and actually not do it? At this point, the defense is so pissed that Cole Anthony. Absolutely agree. I don't know. I was shocked Sadiq Bey didn't get traded, period. Maybe his value or asking price was too much. I don't know. Drake London. What about Drake London? Is he available? Pitts is Howie's move at tight end. No, it's not. Well, Pitts can't be the move because Pitts was franchise tagged by the Falcons. The seed has been planted. Yeah, no. I thought it was attitude. Yeah, I don't know. Which wide receiver will you take over A.J. Brown? The question isn't who would I take over, because I don't think there's too many in the NFL, period. There's probably only 8 or 9 guys in the NFL I would take over A.J. Brown, right? They're not available, Mitchie Poo. The problem is whoever you take over him, will he provide the same overall impact that A.J. Brown? And I don't think so. Personality side, A.J. was awful this year. You can debate it was Petula, but balls came his way and he dropped them. He took play. There's no doubt about it. That whatchamacallit, Roger Dorn from Major League, when he tanked the play. That was A.J. Brown tanking plays. Didn't Pitts just he did get franchise tag, yes, 100%. Keith Jackson was absolutely a tight end. Even Buddy Ryan could see that guy's talent, yeah. Did he what? My screen's still perfectly fine here. What's up, Chet, in the chat? Shameless plug. Tonight, Philly Press Box Radio, live, 7 p.m., right here on this channel. Flyers legend Joe Watson. We're talking Flyers hockey action, yo. Tonight, 7 p.m., Philly Press Box Radio, right here. Don't miss it. What's up, Chet, by the way? How you doing? A first-round tight end. It's just not happening. Chris Olave, I don't know. Sadiq is Howie Roseman's tight end target. Don't be surprised. Look, all I can say also on that per reports that tracked everybody the Eagles met with at the Senior Bowl and the Combine. Offensive line was the most visited with position. Tight end was the second most visited position. Guess what? They visited with I think it was 20 different prospects over those two events at tight end. Not one of them was named Kenyon Sadiq, just so you know. Just so you know. I still prefer AJ back over Mike Evans, to be perfect. Exactly. And that's the thing. Because Mike Evans is good. To me, Mike Evans is the most underrated wide receiver in football. Also coming back from a season-ending knee or ACL or Achilles injury. I forget which one it was. He's older, right? Older than A.J. Brown. Mike Evans can come here and put up a 1,000-yard season next year, sure. But is he going to command the attention of defenses? Are defenses going to try to game plan against Mike Evans? Probably not. Well, I'm saying we're not drafting tight end in the first round either. Nobody doubts that the Eagles are going to draft the tight end, EC1. It's where. The dude from Ohio State, Claire, third round. Very likely. First round tight end, it's just not happening. I would be utterly shocked if I'm sitting here live on the air on draft night and Howie Roseman's ticket goes to the podium, out comes Roger Goodell to a chorus of boos. I don't even know where the draft is this year. And with the 23rd pick in the NFL draft, the Philadelphia Eagles select tight end, Oregon, Sadiq. I'd be utterly shocked. My jaw would drop. Sixers worse than the Clippers, Hawks, Pelicans, Cowboys. They're worse than everything. And that's why the poll question. Daryl Morey, Nick Nurse getting fired? Yes? No? Finally? And my Twitter poll question, Marshawn. I know you're on Twitter occasionally. I got a poll question on Twitter. Is there a single team that's currently in the top 10 of their conference, playoff positioning? Is there a team in the playoffs right now that the Sixers are 100% better than? That you could say, without a shadow of a doubt, the Sixers would beat that team in a best of 5 or 7 series? The answer is no, no, no. I love the point in the show where Phil has no idea what any comment is related to. And, I fall behind. It's 8:57, and I still haven't caught up on comments. 161 comments in 57 minutes, K1. You find it funny. I don't think you understand how complicated it is what I do on my own here. What up, Elephant? Little late, but never gone. It's never better late than never. Awful is this head coach Chucklehead Nick. I don't know why he has to say as our head coach or why he survived another collapse. What? I mean, if you're calling out Nick Sirianni, I don't understand it. Winningest coach in Eagles history. 2 Super Bowl appearances. No other Eagles coach has ever done that. Back-to-back division titles. What else, what more do you want Nick Sirianni to do other than win a Super Bowl every single year? Nick Sirianni is one of the 3 best coaches in football right now. Maybe top 5 coaches in football. He'd have a job like that if he wanted it, if we fired him. So I'm strongly disagreeing with you on that. It's time for Noom's K1 reference to go over Phil's head. Hit me. It's funnier when we don't even try. It just happens. Look, cool. We don't draft linebacker cornerbacks. Howie changed his draft strategy. He has changed his draft strategy multiple times, and I get that, right? I do. The cornerback one doesn't shock me, okay? Because Quinion Mitchell was not supposed to fall to the Eagles there, right? The Jihad Campbell, I know we traded up one spot for him. The Jihad Campbell one did kind of shock me last year. I did not expect that one at all. But I wasn't shocked we got a cornerback, in Quinion Mitchell. Oh, a lot of people were projecting Cooper DeJean in the first round to the Eagles. Nick Sirianni only wins because of talent. Jalen Hurts only wins because of talent. Maybe they win because they're winners. Do the Sixers have the biggest range of outcome possibilities? No, they do not. Because that would mean the Sixers have a range of winning in the playoffs. And where they might win in the play-in series, or they may win a few games in the first round, I would be shocked if this current Sixers team got to the second round. It would be the most shocking thing in the last 20 years if they got out of the second round. So, no, they do not have a large range of outcomes. Okay? Their outcome range is making the playoffs or missing the playoffs, and that's it. That's it. Stop. You're insane. You are completely insane to think that he is the most overrated coach in football. I guess we forgot that wins don't matter, that coaches have zero impact. This isn't baseball, all right, where all you do is write the lineup and that's it, and sit there like this, okay? That's my Rob Thompson impersonation. That's all he does. No. And even I know I'm biased and wrong in hating on Rob Thompson. If Nick Sirianni is a top 5 head coach, that says a lot about the head coaching landscape in 26. No, it says that the Eagles have been one of the 2 most successful franchises over the last 5 years in the NFL. And either you refuse to give Nick Sirianni credit or you refuse to give Jalen Hurts credit. You can't just give the Eagles credit. You have to take credit away from one person. And that's just silly to me. I think some people just want Sirianni to disappear for experimental purposes in order to prove their theory. And the grass ain't always greener on the other side, Nooms. Right? Yes, we've gotten lucky with 3 of the last 4 coaches in Eagles history being pretty damn good and bringing a lot of success to this organization. But you look at some of the other teams around the NFL, and man, they blow through coaches like I blow through. Never mind. He's not better than McVay or LaFleur. How is he not better than LaFleur? Okay? And I said top 5, okay? McVay is probably the most well-respected coach in the NFL right now. Andy Reid, I would put over LaFleur and Shanahan at this point because he's a legend. I know he hasn't been great this past year. You think anybody in Kansas City wants to move on from Andy Reid because they didn't win the Super Bowl this year? No. I mean, us paisanos, we stick together, right? What's his record without OC outside the building? I'll wait. It's such a random thing to plant your flag on, all right? Because technically, Shane Steichen was outside the building. He brought Shane Steichen, was inside the building, but outside the building, okay? So so really only Kellen Moore was really the only outside hire, right? Brian Johnson wasn't actually a bad offensive coordinator. He wasn't great. They've only brought in one outside the building coordinator if you really want to think about it. Shane Steichen came in with Nick Sirianni, okay? He was a Nick Sirianni disciple too, and we did pretty well with Shane Steichen. Is there even grass on the side? Who knows? Give Hurts McVay. I promise you we would have been winning head coach 2 plus power. It's not hype. It's looking at the pure facts in front of me. It's a barren field of desiccated dirt. Yeah, is that what it is? These comments on why my Sirianni ego theory is of why so many OC candidates coming in at lower position. I don't know. I disagree. I did just answer it. So, yeah, I did. Isn't it 22-12? Yeah, that one went over my head. I don't even get that one. Kellen Moore Steichen was Howie. Steichen was brought in with Nick Sirianni, okay? Kellen Moore is the only outside hire. And I guarantee you, Howie Roseman may have made the final choice, but I guarantee you Nick Sirianni okayed it and was involved in that decision. And a lot of Kellen Moore's offense was still Nick Sirianni's offense and still his philosophies. I think you don't understand how much Nick Sirianni influences all of this. I would pick Sirianni. And see here, so we go from the Nick Sirianni hate from some of you to the Vassock hate on Jalen Hurts. I can't win. Why can't we just be happy that we've got a great coach and quarterback in the city? And while we're living in the greatest era, maybe you all just don't realize it. This is the greatest era in Eagles history. And we have to plant our flags on hating either our quarterback or our wide receiver nonstop. And it's crazy. Zoinks. I think it might not have sounded good in the mic, but my zoinks impersonation in person is very good. Facts, we collapsed twice. And facts, twice we went to the Super Bowl. Causes more on winning. Head coach can't call plays. Sit out for the second seed. which I think the sitting out the second seed was the sit out players this past year was the right decision. It didn't work out, but it was the right decision. I think you're so far off base, EC1. I respect you. I love your support, but you're so far off base with your hate. You want to say he's got flaws? Sure. I know he's got flaws as a head coach. Massive. Look at the report card. Eagles report card. Voted on anonymously by the players. What grade did the players give Nick Sirianni? An A. Didn't give Howie Roseman an A. Gave him a B. Didn't give Jeffrey Lurie an A. Gave him a B. Gave Kevin Petullo a C+. Yeah, we want to hate on this guy. It's insanity. You're plumbing the depths of psychological phenomenon here. Tread lightly. No, I'm not treading lightly. I can't swim, but I'm diving in head first. In fairness, I dislike the coach since year one. And I get that a lot of people preconceived notions from his first press conference, right? It came out of nowhere, elephant in the room, and got the job, right? But you know what? I gave him time. I waited. I listened. I learned that the guy knows how to motivate people. The guy knows how to get a team, moving in the right direction. You're not going to win the Super Bowl every year. He does not suck. His top 3 winningest head coach in NFL history. Exactly. Negadelphian will one day be recognized. I think the word Negadelphian might get added to the dictionary at some point. K1. There's a real chance at that. Let's take a test. Sirianni Hurts. I can't pick one or the other. Why would I want to pick one or the other? I choose both. I'm not taking one over the other. I'm going to have this stay as a threesome in this relationship. I'm not moving on from one. You can't make me pick. I don't have to pick because they're both not going anywhere, and they're both running this team through the greatest run this team has ever had. This is a very storied history organization. Been around for 60, 70, I don't know how many years. 70, 80 years. The best era of Eagles football right now with these two guys. People want answers for the head-scratching collapses with talent, but the answers were pretty obvious. Exactly. Some of that Nick Sirianni is responsible and accountable for. That's fine. Nick Sirianni wasn't perfect last year, Nooms. He wasn't. He's got his flaws, but he's damn well better than almost everybody in the NFL at his job. He's the post-Gladiator Ridley Scott head coach. I don't give a F. He can't call plays, hires. I think there's a lot more head coaches that don't call plays than you realize, okay? It's not that he can't call plays. He doesn't call plays, okay? Player report card is likability. Don't matter. You wouldn't like your head coach if he sucked as a head coach, okay? They didn't give Howie and Jeffrey B's because many feel they aren't getting paid. I disagree. They gave Lurie a B probably because of the travel and the locker room issues, right? They probably gave Howie a B because he is very businesslike and whatnot. But likability comes from success as well. So, I don't know if it's most. I think it's like 40% the last I checked last year. So, winning percentage overrated, head coach wins, cause of talent. Right. But you got to put the talent together. You got to coach them. You got to have the right system. You got to have the right game plans. Okay? Winning percentage is not overrated. It's the only thing that matters in sports. Winning. Your win-loss record as a coach, a quarterback, a pitcher, as anything. As a basketball team, your win-loss record, it's the only thing that matters. Recognizing you have a problem is the first step towards recovery. That's true. Dude is another. Barry Switzer won. I choose Hurts over Nick. Not choosing. There's no reason to choose. Well, if we learned anything from Brady Belichick, it's always probably the soundest idea to roll with the quarterback. So in that situation, Hurts. No, do not engage in this question, Freddie. Don't engage in this conversation because we're not choosing, okay, one or the other. There's no reason to choose one or the other. They're both elite at what they do. They're both leading this team through the greatest era out there. There's no reason to choose. 2 Super Bowls in 3 years, never misses playoff. Andy Reid had great talent here too. Couldn't get it done. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, Rick. We don't see eye to eye on the positivity all the time. We do on this one. Did you know that Trott's other son, yes, Josiah Trotter, I think from what I've read, he's better than Junior that we got on the team. I think I read that somewhere, that he's got a better draft profile than his brother. Linebacker U is Penn State. The Trott household is linebacker U, right? You give Nick way too much credit. It's cool. Mannion will be head coach soon. He will be for another team. He'll be here as our OC for 2 years, I'm predicting, Sean Mannion. Then he will be a head coach somewhere else. All right? Plain and simple. And we'll be in the same situation with another OC. If you two, what? I give Phil an A for likability. I appreciate that. Not knowledge, not opinions, but likability, right? Gave OC calls to Shane. And that makes him a great coach. Knowing that Shane could do the job better than him. I see the players giving Nick an A as a negative thing. What? How's that even possible? It's a kiss of death. I don't know about that. Here's one thing that is interesting. No one ever talks about a Sirianni coaching tree. There's a Walsh tree, there's a Belichick tree, there's an Andy Reid tree. No one ever mentions the Nick Sirianni tree. Well, what is the Nick Sirianni tree? Right? Shane Steichen. By the way, they did tender a contract or they gave the tender tag or whatever, transition tag to Danny Jones, the Colts, yesterday. You got Shane Steichen. You got Kellen Moore. You got Jonathan Gannon. There's already 3 head coaches in the NFL that have come from the Nick Sirianni tree already. And he's only been here for 5 years, and he's already gotten 3 guys head coaching jobs. Something to that. His winning percentage is so overrated. You're Sirianni. I'm not a Sirianni fan or not. I just love winning. Winning is what matters to me. I don't care if it's Nick Sirianni or you out there as head coach. If we're winning, then I'm happy. Okay? And we wasted this year. We did. We haven't wasted talent overall because we've been to 2 Super Bowls. We've won a championship. Negadelphia is full effect today. Wonder why this fan base gets the miserable out. It's not the fan base. It's a small percentage of the fan base that believes the negativity that they hear on the internet and on the radio, Rick. When you got people like Bahami Jones out there, didn't even know Bahami Jones was still relevant in the world, saying Kyler Murray he would take Kyler Murray for Jalen Hurts. That's what you got. They believe. What did Spike Geskin? I saw a video come through my feed yesterday of Spike Geskin saying something so absurd and obnoxious and bad about the Eagles yesterday. I'm like, what is wrong? This is what it is. People think that when they hear it from somebody famous, it's got to be the truth instead of formulating their own opinion. It's all the Paul Brown tree if you dig long enough. Yeah. That's the only thing I find very strange. Be careful what you wish for. Exactly. We will not win a Super Bowl again. I mean, maybe we won't. It's very hard to win a Super Bowl, EC1. There's still more than a half a dozen teams that never won a Super Bowl in their history of their organization. We've been to 2 in the last 4 years, right? Steichen and Parker on Sirianni coaching tree. Yeah, Parker. I guess you could put Parker on there. I was just talking coaching tree as head coaches. I'm sure there's other guys that have gotten promotions elsewhere. Just head coach, strictly speaking, Steichen, Gannon, and Moore are all on his coaching tree. So hold on. So we just theoretically say that we suck enough. I don't think this would happen, but theoretically, we suck enough next year that Nick Sirianni gets fired. You think they're going to promote somebody that worked in that suck? Like, if Nick gets fired, the whole coaching staff goes. Sean Mannion ain't going to get promoted if Nick gets fired. He's going to get fired with Nick. The players are always wrapped in drama, so them saying they like Nick makes me think they like him because he's an enabler. Yeah, I don't know about that. Jalen had a horrible 2025. He absolutely did have a horrible 2025 by his standards, for sure. Guess what? He still led us to win the division, right? He still made plays when necessary, as often as he can. He still had one of the lowest turnover rates in football. Absolutely. He had arguably the worst offensive line that he's had in his entire career. Okay? You had Lane Johnson hurt for 8-9 games. You had Landon Dickerson hurt the whole year. Cam Jurgens was literally the worst center in football. So while you say Jalen Hurts' success is only because he's got talent, then it's all Jalen Hurts' fault when the talent's injured. Doesn't make sense to me. None of the press ever mentions a tree or learning that philosophy under Nick Sirianni. That's the real thing. It's extremely odd. It is odd, and I get that. I'm trying to be positive, and I'm trying to be nice these days, but EC12 is he brings the negativity in every chat he's on. Negativity is our love. I don't know if today's the love language. Nick is Barry Switzer, overrated because I guess, you'd rather have a great head coach with bad talent than Nick Sirianni with great talent. Embrace the negativity hard enough, and it becomes a positive. I don't think you could turn this negative into a positive. Take Kyler Murray as a backup. Certainly wouldn't eat the price tag he'd command. Yeah, no, I don't want. Kyler Murray is Ben Simmons. Kyler Murray is loser energy. Kyler Murray brings negative, Kyler Murray's just not a good quarterback. Plain and simple. And I see on my side eye that I see Pump Man's name. I'm like, oh my God. I don't even want to catch up on comments. Everyone's making Mannion seem like the second guy. I don't know. The dude's been a coach in the NFL, not even like a coordinator, just an assistant coach in the NFL for 2 years. 2 years of experience, and everyone thinks Sean Mannion is the next coming of Bill Walsh. Cool. I mean, you're crazy, but, cool. I think they call him Spike Eskin because he doesn't drink anything that isn't Spike. The dude's just, you want to talk a Nepos. There's a Nepo right there. Switzerland took over a Super Bowl ready team. Sirianni took over a losing non-playoff team. Rick, I don't have to say anything because, you're not wrong. Day Nick gets fired, I'm throwing a party celebration the day you're all invited. And guess what? There'll be like 3 miserable people with you, and that's it. All right, we're finally caught up on the Pump comment here. What you expect from this fan base? These dudes think we can sign Woolen and sign and still pay. Look, I get that. That was actually a positive, good comment from you, which I appreciate. There is zero chance, Pump, zero, that we draft a cornerback in round 1. Zero. Just not happening. Dude, corporate stuff was asked you. Hurts is trash fake fan. Yeah, so, hold on. So, dude, corporate stuff I don't understand what you're even saying here, but I think you're saying that Pump Man's hate on Jalen Hurts makes him a fake fan. Well, your hate on Nick Sirianni is no different than Pump Man's hate on Jalen Hurts. All right? It's no different. At least Pump Man brought something good to the table for a change. In the past, there would be interviews of Holmgren saying how much he learned under Walsh. Andy Reid saying how much he learned under Holmgren. No study. Yeah, and I get that. And I don't understand that. I'm just trying to tell you. I don't understand what you say. Here's how no one gets fired or traded. Jalen Hurts does his job, the same job he gets paid $250 for. Yeah, and he's done his job. Big picture. If we would see more of that, there would be more confirmation. That's fine. And I get what you're getting at with that. I like short quarterbacks like Kyler Murray, and he's fast. It's so exciting. Kyler Murray is not an exciting quarterback. Nobody ever going to go to EC12 party. Yeah, he's not. Fan upset. I'm negative. How dare I criticize Chuck? Yeah, but you don't like it when somebody criticizes Jalen Hurts? If I understood your typos right, you're the same thing. You're just as negative as the Jalen Hurts haters. It's not different. It's the exact same thing. Just going to page through a bunch of these comments because I just can't get it. Here's the factor. Nick can do his job, and we can still blow. If Jalen Hurts does his job, we win. Simple. No. I don't know. Nick can do his job, and we still blow. I don't know about that. I don't know. Your wide receivers? They're yours? Anyway, it only took an hour and 20 minutes, but we're finally caught up on the show, guys. Finally got caught up on 253 comments It only took me 80 minutes to do that, guys. We got 20 likes. If you haven't yet, please hit the like button, the share button, the subscribe button. Unfortunately, it is not Friday, not even close to Friday. I wish it was Friday at this point. Poll question today, is this the offseason that Daryl Morey and Nick Nurse get fired? Poll results at this point. Absolutely, they get fired, 48%. Nope. Josh Harris sucks, 28%. They could save their jobs, still 24%. That's where we're at 80 minutes into the show with the poll question. We got about 10 minutes left, guys, today. So keep pumping those comments in here. 6'3", 241 is too small to play tight in the NFL. Kenyon Sadiq should play wide receiver. That's interesting. My A1C levels are spiking. And me too. It's like worse than eating a bag of candy right now. My sugars are all over the place. Enough with the Murray shit already about, yeah, dude, but see, here's the thing again. You got someone like Bahami Jones out there saying, oh, he would take so many guys. I mean, he would take Kyler Murray or Jalen Hurts. He was going over the list. It was like would you take Kyler Murray or this guy? Kyler Murray or this guy? And it was laughable. The guys he would take Kyler Murray over. Like, it really was. Like, what is Kyler Murray? Kyler Murray ain't young either. He's been in the league for a while, right? He's 28, something like that. Been in the league for 6 years now. Kyler Murray stinks. He's not a quarterback, okay? Yeah, it's always good to see Blanche back in the chat. Right, chat? Sadiq would easily be the fastest player on our offense. That's sad. Look, I don't think there's room to talk about Sadiq. Or a need to talk about Sadiq. Sadiq is not going to be an Eagle. Howie is not going to move up in the draft to get him, and he's not going to fall to 23. And even at 23, I think Howie would pass on him or make a trade back to somebody that wants him. I said it before you joined the chat pump, literally would be the most shocking first-round draft pick that I can remember in Eagles history in a long time. Not worse, but most shocking would be Sadiq at 23. I would be, if that card gets handed in and Roger Goodell says the Eagles take Kenyon Sadiq, my jaw would drop. I'll be live for the draft as I always am. My jaw would drop on the floor. Bahami Jones was a stud on her. He was, Around the Horn was always a cool. When Around the Horn first came out, I loved it. I wanted to be on that. No, I actually wanted to be the host of that show originally. I like to mute people. I like to gatekeep the chat, so to speak, as I've been told. Because I ignore comments sometimes, supposedly. I think Chet, and I think I found out who Blanche really is. I think it's Chet. I think it was one of Chet's burners. Jeffrey Lurie may be the best at his job in the NFL. Howie's top 5 at his job. I do think Jeffrey Lurie is the gold standard of ownership in the NFL. Absolutely agree. I think you're underselling Howie Roseman top 5. I think Howie Roseman's better than top 5. Name an organization that's run better than the Eagles from a front office standpoint than Howie. Reagor, most shocking. Reagor wasn't the most shocking. He was the dumbest. One of the bigger mistakes. But you knew the Eagles were going to draft a wide receiver. And the Eagles' old school philosophy was those small, young, fast guys. There were those intangibles at the combine and pro days that made people drool over Reagor, right? The only reason why we hate on this pick so much is because Justin Jefferson went next and is the best wide receiver in football. But I can't say it was shocking. I wanted Jefferson. It was the first time I was podcasting. That was the play. But I understood what Howie was doing. Well, you know, he had a lot of drops in college, but he had really bad quarterback play and his straight line speed and this and that. Like, I remember all that. I'm like, okay. So it wasn't shocking. We were drafting a wide receiver. He picked the wrong receiver. We need a legit 4.3 speed wide receiver to give this offense space. Believe it or not, Quez Gravity as a speed threat helped us a lot. And look, guess what? Quez Watkins is still on the roster right now. But I do agree, we do. That's why if we did, like, I would be interested if he was cheaper, but he's not. Someone like Shaheed, who's available this offseason. We do need that third or fourth wide receiver that just threatens to take the top off. I mean, when Seattle got Rashad Shaheed or whatever his name is, from the Saints at the deadline, that made their offense so much better, helped carry them. I know he didn't put up huge stats. It was all, JSN with the big numbers, but Shaheed took that offense to the next level. Reagor might be the worst pick, but he wasn't the most shocking pick. I think there's a difference there. ATH was good when Kellerman, around the horn, when Kellerman ran it. They actually reporters on. One stat boy came on. Yeah, I mean, all those shows, pretty much died over time. Sadiq is so small he might slide. He's a valuable pick at 23, and he played in the Pac-10. I doubt he slides. I do. Reagor was shocking because we all knew Jefferson. Yeah, we just knew it was the wrong. I don't think it was shocking more so as just disappointment. Shock would be like, really? Me, it was like a sigh, not a, wow. Yeah. Fireman Danny Watkins. That was a disappointing pick, too. Tyreek Hill is not going to play football in 2026. If he does, it won't be till week 10. And even then, you don't know what he's going to be. So no to Tyreek Hill. Danny Watkins and Marcus Smith were the worst. Yeah, I would actually probably put. I have trouble criticizing Marcus Smith now because I know of his struggles with mental health, and I think he attempted or almost attempted suicide. And it is Mental Health Awareness Month for those that don't know. So, yeah, I have trouble criticizing him. So I'll put Watkins as the worst. I honestly thought Jahan would separate better, but he has horrible route running. Yeah, look, I looked when we got him. I looked at his numbers with Washington. I'm like, this guy's a quality wide receiver. And then he had opportunities here, and he never was able to form that connection with Jalen Hurts. Watkins was the worst pick in Eagles history. It's possible. It's possible. Reagor was shocking. They got sold on his dude's YouTube video workout. Jay Jets did everything. Jay Jets was only a slot wide receiver is what all the pundits would tell you back then. Not now. But back then, we didn't need a slot receiver. And that's all Justin Jefferson was ever going to be. Canadian firefighter. Oh, and Josh Harris. What about Josh Harris? Who was the big DN that we drafted during the Reed era that missed a lot of time because of a gunshot? Is that Jerome McDougal? Was McDougal the one that got shot? We're caught up on the comments, guys. We're almost at the end of the show here. Finally got caught. I think that was Jerome McDougal that got shot. At least Harris actually played Nooms. Watkins was an unmitigated disaster. Yeah, Watkins didn't even want to play football. He wanted that rookie paycheck, and that was it. And then he got it, and he was gone. And he's a firefighter. Jerome McDougal. See, look at that. You guys doubt my knowledge sometimes. You should never doubt my knowledge. I read that as Josh Harris. John Harris. Sorry. I'm like, what? We're talking all these things. And why are you bringing Josh Harris into the conversation? You're talking John Harris, not Josh Harris. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway. All right, we got to wrap this up, guys. What's up the rest of this week? I don't know. I never know what's up. But I always come up with a creative way to start the conversation and let it spiral out of control. But please like, subscribe, share. Freddie Mitchell, man. FredEx, the people's champ. It's FredEx time. I love Freddie Mitchell. That was a pretty bad draft pick, though. Honestly. When you think about it, Freddie Mitchell was a first-round pick, right? Wasn't he right around 20 or 23? Wouldn't be shocked if he was like the 23rd pick in the draft. Like, really. McDougal at least had that great hit on Eli. McDougal had potential, but, yeah, he just never led up to it. Paul Reed, Jarrett McCain, Isaiah Joe, all major contributors. We could use Jarrett McCain off the bench right now. Unfortunately, we're out of time today, so we can't get back into that. We'll talk more Sixers tomorrow. I got a lot of poll questions on YouTube and Twitter going Sixers related. So, yeah. But Jarrett McCain, another 20-point game last night. His three-point percentage is up like – I had it up. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it. His three-point percentage is up 8% since leaving here. His overall shooting percentage is up 11%. He's playing 4 more minutes a game and scoring 6 more points a game. Tonight, Philly Press Box Radio tonight, 7 p.m. right here on this channel, guys. Don't miss it, guys. Hey, everybody have a great day. Thanks for a great show today. Great chat today. We disagreed a lot today, but hey, that's what we do. That's what makes this show special. We can disagree. It's okay to disagree. That's what matters. Everybody have a great day. Go Birds. Bubbles up.